Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Recruit Military Live, a continuing series of live broadcasts covering all things military transition, veteran employment, male spouse employment, and much more. My name is Lucas Connolly, retired U.S. Army officer and former TAP program manager, here to share with you the ins and outs of navigating the waters of civilian employment. If you are in search of meaningful employment, well, you're in the right place. Visit rmvets.com/live to learn more. All right, let's roll right in. Are you transitioning from military service to civilian employment? Have you heard that internships can help you prepare for your next career? Would you like to learn little bit more about the DoD SkillBridge program? Well, then you're in the right place, so don't touch that mouse. Today's topic is jumpstarting your civilian career with DoD SkillBridge. Today's guest is a 13-year veteran of the U.S. Navy, having served aboard the USS Finback, the USS Abraham Lincoln, and the Navy's most forward deployed carrier, the USS Ronald Reagan. He's been an on-air personality, a web host, a vice president of social media, an adjunct instructor at Old Dominion University, and most recently, he's been committing his time to helping transitioning service members navigate their way from military service into civilian life, working with the Virginia Department of Veteran Services as their V3 Transition Assistance Program Coordinator for Central Region. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming the Prince of Paisley, the LinkedIn legend himself, Mr. Alfredo Torres.
The Prince of Paisley. I absolutely love that. How's everything going, Lucas?
It's great. It's really fantastic to have you on the show today, Alfredo. Looking forward to diving right in head first into this topic of DoD SkillBridge.
Well, I think I'm ready whenever you are. Your intro music got me jazzed up.
I'm pumped. All right, folks. Well, now that you know who we are, let's hear who you are. Hit us up in that chat window. Let us know where you're coming to us from, who you're with, who you served with. What's your status? Are you a veteran? Are you a transitioning service member, a mil spouse, or something we haven't thought of? We'll like to get after some of your questions given the right amount of time. So feel free to jump in there with your questions, comments, or concerns. Now, Alfredo, let's just dive right into this, okay?
Sounds good.
Just take for a second and tell us about your journey. Just a few seconds to tell us about your journey from military service to where you're at now.
Okay, my personal journey is like this. I got out in 2005, and I was the most arrogant human being in the world. And because of that, I didn't take advantage of a lot of things that were out there. Not that there was a lot out there in 2005. Because of that, I ended up having a horrible transition. Fast forward now through some opportunities that were presented to me. I was able to get out of being homeless, get out of being suicidal, and work my way back into a wonderful career, helping transitioning service members avoid the pitfalls that I went through. With that being said, SkillBridge is an incredible program, which if you're allowed to participate in it, because it's up to your command, is incredible. The value that it brings in allowing you to understand what a civilian culture is incredible.
That's now do me a favor and just break it down for us. Assume that I've never heard of this SkillBridge program. Can you just kind of give us the basics here? What is it exactly?
Sure. Let's knock it out in a nutshell. The SkillBridge program is a program which allows an active duty service member within 180 days of their transition the opportunity to get non-permissive TAD orders to an internship. So
Okay.
so that place of business becomes your place to report.
Okay, so no more going to PT, no more showing up for formation. I just
No. You put on civilian clothes. You can let the beard grow, or grow out the hair. You're gonna wear. You're gonna report there 9 to 5, whatever the hours are. 40 hours a week. No mustering. No standing watches. None of that. Nope. That's your place of business.
Yeah. And I recall, I did a SkillBridge opportunity, and I had a very similar experience. They called me for accountability. I had to go in and show that I was still alive periodically. They called me for a urinalysis. Still got to make sure you're doing the right thing. And then they called me for a physical fitness test, and I said, "Okay, wrong number," and hung up because I just didn't feel like it.
Well, it's your TAD, your temporarily assigned duty to wherever that command, wherever your place of business is. So it's like any other TAD orders. If you got sent to a school, they wouldn't call you back to the command to go do a urinalysis or to do or to go do a PRT. So it falls under the same kind of rules.
Okay. So you mentioned 180 days out active duty. What's the eligibility criteria? How do I know that I'm eligible to participate in this program?
Well, so long as you haven't gotten into any trouble. Okay, that's the first thing. Your service is categorized at least as general. General discharge. You also have to have no judicial
no pending action against
thank you, God. I don't know why my brain's not it's not activated right now. But no pending judicial action.
If each of us has half a brain, we got one brain. That's all we need to run the show.
Well, I'm going to need you to have 2/3.
Okay.
But also the main thing is that you have to have command approval.
Absolutely.
Okay. Other than that, it's your average soldier, sailor, Marine, airman is going to be able to participate. It's on you though to find those opportunities.
Yes. Yeah, and that's what I've told a number of folks is you've got to lean forward on these things, because as much as the military tells you to get your transition started a year out, this SkillBridge program that you're talking about, Alfredo, is in the last 180 days of service. So if you've dragged your backside and you're going into the 10-month mark, and then 2 months later you're thinking SkillBridge, now you're 8 months out, you're dangerously close to missing a window of opportunity. Would you agree?
Oh, 100%. But not only are you close to missing a window of opportunity, you're doing yourself a disservice because you're not allowing your command to prepare for your exit. Okay, so normally what I recommend to everybody is about the 18-month mark. Start looking into it. Now, of course, sometimes you don't know what you don't know. So if somebody is just finding out, then jump on it. But you want to start at the 18-month mark, because you want to start letting your chain of command know that you're going to be gone 12 weeks, 18 weeks, 20 weeks, depending on the program that you're getting in, that you're going to get into. You also want to make sure that you have time to research the program that you want. There's a lot of options. I think there's something like 1,500 different SkillBridge opportunities. So you need to figure out what is the best one for you based on your timeline for transition, your goals for when you get out, based on what you are interested in. So, and what you get out of it. There's some SkillBridge programs which will allow you to get certifications.
Yeah, tell me something a little bit about these different categories of programs, because not all internships, apprenticeships, these are not all. This is not one size fits all.
No,
there's different types. So if you could kind of break that down for us.
Sure. So first type is a straight up SkillBridge program. You go to a company. The company provides the opportunity, and you follow whatever your service line, whatever their rules are to participate. It's pretty simple. Another one is what we go ahead.
No, and what I was going to mention is, I'm finding that different services have different rules.
Yes,
I'm finding the Air Force is pretty quick. You get your paperwork done a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. The Navy maybe a little longer, but if you happen to be a soldier in the Army, you've got to lean forward because the approval level is very high. So it goes through a lot of wickets, and that could be 2 months, 3 months, or just to get your paperwork back.
Right, and that's one of the that's one of the important things, is to realize how long it's going to take. Now, if you can create your own SkillBridge program,
yes,
if you do this early enough, but then it has to go through their legal, okay, the legal department of whatever branch you're in. This is where another type of DoD SkillBridge approved programs can help you out, and those are the third party providers.
Okay.
The best known of them is Hire Our Heroes. That's the one that everybody knows. But there are a lot of state third party providers, of which Virginia, where I work, is one of them. The HireVetsNow Fellowship Program. But we also have Florida has a statewide program. Arizona has a statewide program. Tennessee has a statewide program. So these are programs, and I'll use mine as example when I say third party, is you can come to me and say, Alfredo, I want to participate in a SkillBridge program in Virginia. So then, due to how we have it structured, you can work with me to find a position that you're interested in a location in Virginia. So that's how we utilize our third party, and I'll go more into that later on. Then there's certification programs. So the best one that's out there that I know of is the Onward to Opportunity program.
Yes.
Onward, the number 2, and then Opportunity. You can participate in that as a SkillBridge program, which will allow you to get one certification in a 6-month period, paid for. So a lot of people will use it for their PMP. They'll use it for some high-level IT certifications,
HR certs, Lean Six Sigma,
right,
a laundry list
stuff.
of IT certs.
Yep, and so if you already know what you want to do, or you already have a job lined up, because some do, and you want the certification, well, here's a way to get it for free without having to use, Navy Cool, Army Cool, which you have to obligate for.
Right.
So these programs are some of these programs will give you those certifications.
Yeah, and I have to say of the certification programs, Onward to Opportunities is definitely leading the way. Their list of IT certs seems to get longer every day. They've got all the HRM certs, the Six Sigma certs, and definitely the highly sought after PMP. And even if you do have a job lined up, I think what you're going to find is these certifications tend to be, we would call them combat multipliers, but I like to refer to them as salary multipliers. Because once when you walk in with that in your hip pocket, that means your earnings potential just jumped $3,000 or $4,000 or $5,000, depending on what source you look at.
Sure, and also if you have the ability to do it, get it done before you get out, because once you get out, okay, now you're going to have a lot of adjustment that you need to make, as you can tell. You know the stress of transitioning out is more than just getting a job.
Yeah, I understand actually that you had a full head of hair right before you transitioned.
Right before, it was gorgeous. It was just the most. It was
flowing.
a luscious, mane that I had. And all of this. This is all during transition. I didn't have any of this before then. But anyway, so if you can knock out those certifications, even if you have a job already, think about how you're going to look if you got hired without it, and now you show up with the certification. Yep. It's almost like you're telling them, "Hey, I'm ready. I'm ready for whatever
career advancement.
Right. Right. Exactly. So so definitely take advantage of those if you can.
Yeah, and actually, if I'm not mistaken, O2O is even has some eligibility for retirees even after transition.
Yes.
So not
So
all
yeah,
of these programs stop at ETS.
right. Correct. While SkillBridge itself, the main purpose of it was for the active duty service member who was getting ready to transition out again within 180 days of transition. There have been some things that are falling under the SkillBridge name. So now there's Hire Heroes has the opportunity for military spouses to participate in a SkillBridge program. The difference is when you participate as an active duty service member in SkillBridge, the company cannot pay you.
Right.
Okay, because you're still being paid by the DoD. However, if you are participating as a mil spouse, and some will have what they're calling SkillBridge for veterans, they have to pay you because they can't give you free labor, or you can't.
Right. My company, actually, RecruitMilitary, has got a brand new DoD SkillBridge opportunity in the recruiting arm of our company. We've been bringing in some fantastic folks like Angela Young, who's joined us today in the show, and
Awesome.
Anthony Wagner. Let me see. Let me just pop over here and say hi to Angela, who's joined us today. We're bringing on folks and teaching them the ins and outs of the recruiting industry, and then helping them find that next career opportunity, either with us or one of our 16,000 partner companies. Now, let's assume I'm 18 months out. I've heard about SkillBridge, but I don't know where to start looking for an opportunity.
Okay.
Where's my go square?
Well, the first place that you should go is to your career counselor and see what information they have, or what whoever plays the career counselor at your command. I'm not sure what the Army calls them. In Navy, we call them command career counselors. However, if that doesn't help you, or if they don't know about it, then go to the website, DoD SkillBridge. And when you go there, be prepared to be overwhelmed.
Yeah, it's huge. Even their frequently asked questions section is just absolutely gigantic.
Right. So now there are ways to search for what you what you want. You can search by location. You can search by field. You can search by company. So think as you're reading the frequently asked questions, okay? Because you're right, it's a boatload of stuff, and you want to make sure that you're on topic, on page. Before you start asking all these questions, the questions might be right there, answered already. But as you're doing that, think about what you really want. And that's everybody's biggest problem is, I don't know what I want to be when I grow up, So start thinking about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I would definitely stress that, because it's with so many options out there in the great open sea of SkillBridge opportunities, like you said, thousands and thousands of options. It's probably a better bet for you to pause and breathe and decide, where do I want to be on the 5-year planning horizon, and then from that try to identify, okay, my plan is to be an HR professional, working my way up to eventually becoming an HR director. Great line of work to be in, a great field, good goal setting. Now, what do I need to do to get myself closer to that? Is it certifications? Is it interning with the company in their HR department? Is it a combination of the two? Am I working on my degree? Are all the things I'm doing now moving me collectively towards that goal I have in the future?
Now, you just threw out a laundry list of things to do. This is one of the reasons you start 24 months. You start your transition process, is so that you can start doing this kind of stuff. Okay, SkillBridge should be part of your plan, but before we get there, to make sure that we take advantage excuse me, we take advantage of the best possible SkillBridge opportunity, we need to know what we want to do. We need to do, we need to know what our skills are. We need to know, and when I say what our skills are, I'm saying all of our skills, because a lot of us, and you can attest to this, a lot of us will identify as our MOS or identify as our rating, as we call it in the Navy, right? So let's say I'm retiring after 20 years, right? And I came in as a corpsman in the Navy, and I'm retiring after 20 years. You ask me what I am, I'm going to say I'm a corpsman. Let's say I'm a E8, right? Which is a senior chief in the Navy. You ask me, oh, so what were you? I'm either going to say senior chief, my rank, or I'm going to say a corpsman, right? Now, let's be real. If I say corpsman, the last time I saw a patient was probably 10 years ago.
Right, because you're in management at this point. You're doing emergency medical program management, something like that.
Something like that, right? So I'm running programs. On top of that, I've also done collateral duties. At this point, for 20 years, I could have been the command career counselor. I could have been the safety person. I could have been the equal opportunity person. I could have been the Keiko. There's so many different things.
Command supply discipline.
Exactly. All of that stuff. So all of that gives me skills and now allows me to broaden my horizons, to open my aperture, because now I don't have to go into medical if that's not what I want, or if I'm a supply person. Great. I'm a great example of that. I was an aviation storekeeper when I got out of the military, and that's logistics. So 13 years of doing logistics. When I get out, I'm supposed to go into a logistics job. That's my mindset. Meanwhile, the reason I have the ability to do what I do today is because of my collateral duties. So we open up our aperture. We take all of the skills that we have. Then we start to do informational interviews to find out about a particular job. Now we're going down the HR route. So I've got the skills to do HR. I've done informational interviews and researched the position. Now is when I can start to utilize SkillBridge.
Right.
Because now the SkillBridge is the taste test. Think of it as a taste
trial
test.
run. It's a rehearsal.
Right. Exactly. And you can come out and see if you really like it. You're going to shadow somebody for these, we'll say 12 weeks. And now you're going to see what the day-to-day is. And is this really what you want to do? The other advantage of it is you get to see what life is like in the civilian world, which is 100% different than the military.
And, some people, they think they know what they want to do. They say, oh, I really want to work in this particular field. I'm very excited about it. And then they dive into it, hopefully with a SkillBridge, and then discover, oh, wait a minute, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. If you're in a SkillBridge opportunity, well, now you haven't backed yourself into an employment situation. You can test the waters. You can take a little dip in it and then look at it and go, wow, I thought this was going to be something really different, but this is not for me.
Right.
And then take a twist, take a turn, correct course, and choose something different. Or the flip side, you may get into that SkillBridge opportunity and it confirms what you already believed. Yes, absolutely. This is definitely for me. And as a matter of fact, and this is the company I want to work for.
Right. Another good thing about SkillBridge is that it gives you the opportunity for employment. Okay. It doesn't guarantee you a job. And that's important to remember as you get ready to choose your SkillBridge opportunity. What is going to give you the best opportunity to get employment if this is what you want to do?
And I get that question a lot. It's a question I get a lot. Being a manager for the RecruitMilitary DoD SkillBridge recruiting internship program, I get that question from a lot of applicants. Are you going to hire me? And like you said before, get real. I don't know. Are you good at your job? Are you planning on performing?
Do you want to do the job?
Yeah. I can have an opportunity and I can coach, teach, and mentor SkillBridge interns right up to to use the analogy, right up to the 10-yard line. But I can't go do the interview for you. I cannot perform in the OJT role for you.
Right.
You've got to do that piece yourself. So I think you said something the other day when we spoke. It's not about necessarily a pathway to employment as much as it is a pathway to an opportunity.
Exactly. And that's exactly what this is. Let's take that HR position. So I started 24 months. I started figuring out what I need. I got the skills. Great. Now I went to the SkillBridge, found the right company, did the research on the company. Okay, let's say it's RecruitMilitary. I'm not just going to go to RecruitMilitary because it's a SkillBridge program or they have a SkillBridge program. I did the research, found out that I align with them. With their culture, with how they represent themselves, with their values. Now I'm going to go and do this, hopefully apply for and be accepted into the SkillBridge program. All of this leads up to an opportunity, a chance to prove to you, Lucas, that I have what it takes to be a recruiter for RecruitMilitary. And if I do, now this is where you say lead up to the 10-yard line. What I say is I could take you up to the door for the interview, but now you got to go in yourself and that door is going to close.
Mm-hmm.
And you've got to be able to articulate that why you deserve this opportunity, how you can take advantage of this opportunity that was presented to yourself.
Absolutely. And I think that there are a lot of commands out there that even with knowing this are somehow resistant. I mean, have you had some experience with this? Unfortunate. There's some folks out there that are just don't want to play ball.
Plenty. And this is why you want to go and talk to, everybody and get people in that mindset of you're going to leave early. Okay. Because unfortunately, and I know you've done this or you've experienced this, is people don't understand transition unless they are transitioning. Okay. So you will have operational commitments. Okay. So if you spring this a month before and you know that you guys are going on deployment, odds are good that they're going to say no.
Right. Lean in and have that conversation with your chain of command. Do the things. And I remember talking to one service member, and he said he was the one-man show in the supply shop. And my advice I gave to him was, look, you got to work yourself out of a job. You got to have such a squared away supply shop that anybody with an 8th grade education could walk in, take over, and keep it squared away, so that commander has confidence that signing your paperwork will not result in some kind of mission failure, lost equipment, lost accountability, and so on and so forth.
That's exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly right. You start trading your replacements. Start passing off your collateral duties. Start showing other people the ins and outs of your job, so that when you go to make this announcement, hey, I want to do SkillBridge. Okay, well, what's SkillBridge? It's going to take me away for 12 weeks. Well, I can't afford to lose you. Well, I've already trained everybody. Everybody knows what to do.
And I think that's a fallacy, and if I were speaking to commanders and the seniors, senior folks, sergeants major, senior chiefs, battalion commanders and brigade squadrons and what have you, first of all, take a look at yourself in the mirror. If you think the unit needs you that much that you can't walk away and take advantage of an opportunity like this, then you may have too high of opinion of your importance to the organization.
I agree.
You will be replaced. The Navy will sail on. The Army will march on. The mission will continue with or without you. And for those saved commanders, those great soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines who have served you so well in your command, you can afford to lose them too. Take care of them. Don't just run them into the ground right up to the last day.
Yeah, one of the things I say is back in I started in the submarine force, and the only reason that's significant is because at the time Admiral Borda became the CNO, and he was a submarine officer. He ended up committing suicide as the CNO. Now, as tragic as that was, the Navy didn't miss a beat, and that's something you need to think. If the leader, if the highest ranking officer in the Navy, the guy who runs the show, went away and the Navy didn't miss a beat, your command can afford to lose Johnny Sailor or Johnny Soldier or Johnny Marine or Johnny Airman. And you won't miss a beat. So let people take advantage of these programs because the value of them are incredible just to help them adjust when they get out.
Yeah, and just think about, that service member who gets a raw deal or whatever you want to say, it gets a less than optimal transition solution when he or she leaves the service. What are they going to have to say about serving the country in uniform to their son, younger cousins, daughters later down the line? Are they going to say, hey, I served for 8 years and I transitioned smoothly to a new job because my chain of command took care of me? Or are they going to say, you know what, to heck with that, it's not worth it, they don't treat you right? So commanders out there, please do everything you can to support your service members as they get ready to transition. You've gotten good service out of them. Give them something back at the end. That's what I would ask.
Right. And remember, you're going to transition out too. Here's one of my analogies, and I love analogies. Okay. A military member is like an athlete. They have a shelf life.
Yep.
Okay. And the shelf life ends when they're relatively young. Okay. You can retire as an enlisted person at 38 if you came in at 18. You can retire as an officer at 42 if you went to school, to college, and then got out and started to serve. That's a lot of life left. You know, at the end of the day, you're going to spend more time outside of the military, if God willing, you live a long life, than you will have with your career. With that being said, it's a culture shift. It's a shift in, and so you as a commander, as a captain, as a colonel, as a sergeant major or master chief, because let's not just put it on the officers. A lot of the higher level enlisted also are very resistant to allowing their junior members to participate. You're all going to transition. And you're all going to understand the pressure of transitioning. When I was in the Navy, and I'm sure you found you might relate to this. There was an unspoken rule. Actually, it was very spoken. Of do your 20, get your MBA or your PMP, get the contractor job or the GS-13 job.
Yep, I've heard that.
Yeah, and when you get out, boom, the world is your oyster. That's not true. There's a lot of those.
A lot of those GS jobs are very dependent on, and you do hear a lot of young service members, even the senior folks say, hey, I'm going to get out and I'm going to have it made. I'm going to get that juicy GS job that I can't get fired from no matter what I do. But you're finding, look, for folks like yourself and myself who spent 2 decades in uniform that stretched across the global war on terror, funding was almost infinite. For programs, for deployments, for weapon systems and logistics contracts, and everything that went into supporting a nation that had combatants in 2 different theaters. As we go into this, what some might refer to as an interwar period, you're going to see the budget get smaller. You're going to see promotions get tighter, and you're going to see a lot of these GS jobs that were created just go unfilled. So if you're just assuming success the way so many of us assumed years ago, you may want to check yourself, because assuming success is a pathway to failure.
Yeah, 100%. And this all comes back to that, what I said when I got out, the arrogance, yeah, you know what? This is a cakewalk. They're going to want me. I got no problem. No, I did have a problem. I had problems finding jobs. I had problems adjusting to civilian life. SkillBridge is an important way to kind of overcome some of those problems.
All right, Alfredo. Well, what I'm taking away here for the folks, some lessons learned, some pieces of advice: lean forward in the foxhole, start early, 18 to 24 months, get into that TAP center, that transition office, and start getting yourself set up for success. Research. Before you do that, set your goals, figure out where you want to go. Where do you want to be 5 years from now? Research the SkillBridge opportunities. Find the company that's right for you, find the opportunity, and start that conversation early with your chain of command. Have I missed anything?
Yeah, the only thing I would say that you've missed is as you're looking for that company, there are remember those third-party systems, okay? Because they can help you out. Let's use RecruitMilitary. You guys have your own SkillBridge program.
Yes, we do.
But you're also going to be part of the HireVetsNow fellowship program.
Yep.
It's another avenue for the companies to get their names out there. So if you are a transitioning service member, one way to figure out where you want to go is to look at these third-party ones, especially the state ones. Virginia, Tennessee, Florida, Arizona. Go to them and all companies. If we got any companies here, you should be participating in all of these SkillBridge programs, not just your own. You don't put out your jobs in one site, right? You don't just put all your jobs out in Monster. You put them out all over the place on social media. You put them out on Indeed. Right? So same thing. Okay, don't just put your opportunities out in your own SkillBridge program. Put them out in others. Participate with them.
That sounds fantastic, Alfredo. And we actually are looking forward to working with you. Hey, before we get ready to roll out, can you tell us a little bit what you're doing for Virginia's veterans?
Sure. So Virginia has the HireVetsNow fellowship program, which is the first DoD SkillBridge approved program. And what allows a company to participate in it is to be what we call V3 certified. V3 stands for Virginia Values Veterans, a state certification companies can earn after going through some training to be certified as veteran friendly. Now, what that means is that we've got about 15, 16, 1,700 companies in the Commonwealth that are certified V3, which allows you to choose from them. Now, we have 58 companies that are active, but those aren't the only ones that can participate. So you can go out and find your own company, and if they're V3 certified, we can get them enrolled into the HireVetsNow fellowship program. So I'm the candidate coordinator for that, and I go all around the state talking to people to tell them not only about the HireVetsNow fellowship program, but about SkillBridge and the advantages of how of making sure you take advantage of a SkillBridge program.
Awesome, Alfredo. Thank you very much for that information. Thank you for the time you spent with us today. On behalf of RecruitMilitary and everybody out there in LinkedIn and Facebook land, thank you for your time. And if you didn't know, as I mentioned before, RecruitMilitary has its own DoD SkillBridge program for folks that are interested in the recruiting industry. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn, and we will let you know how that program works and how you can participate. And if you haven't already done so, do yourself a solid and register at www.recruitmilitary.com for access to over 400,000 job opportunities, information about career fairs being held every month nationwide, and a library of content all designed to help connect veterans, transitioning service members, and spouses with meaningful career opportunities around the country and around the corner. Alfredo, thank you again for your time.
Thank you, Lucas, and thank you, RecruitMilitary, for the chance. And I'm looking forward to seeing you guys soon. I saw Rob was in the chat room. looking forward to seeing you guys soon here at your event that's going to be held down in Hampton, Virginia.
Absolutely. Looking forward to seeing you there.
All right.
Well, folks, that about wraps it up for today. Tune in next week when we hear from RecruitMilitary's own Chris Newsom, who will be giving us the inside track on job hunting with the resources and tools available on RecruitMilitary.com. You're not going to want to miss that. Until then, this has been Lucas Connolly for Recruit Military Live, wishing you good luck and Godspeed.